It's broadcasting, so it's live on YouTube right now. Hello everybody. My name is we're all from Silicon Valley Global News. Just to start off with, my name is Micah Blumberg. Over here is Angelo Hizon and
Erin Panolinan.
If you each want to take a minute to introduce yourselves. Do you want to go first, Erin?
Sure. Hi, my name is Erin Panolinan. My handle on Twitter is @Erin Jerri, ERINJERRI. I am one of the co-founders of AR/VR Academy. So we taught augmented reality and virtual reality to women in underrepresented communities. A lot of the folks who've taken our classes have now been hired at companies like Oculus, have been funded an Oculus Launchpad, or have gone on to grad school pursuing game design or 360-degree video film. Currently, I'm working on a book on augmented reality and artificial intelligence, and have a stealth startup on the same topics, but particular to advancing Alzheimer's research. I'm also collaborating a lot with SVR, San Francisco Virtual Reality, and Silicon Valley Virtual Reality. And I'm going to now introduce Angelo.
Yes. What do you got? My name is Angelo Hizon. I have dealt with in the game industry as a 3D artist. Do like AAA titles like Sims, Sims Kingdoms, doing 3D art. Currently, I am doing more passion projects, as well as small indie games, which I usually enjoy. Because I've also participated in a lot of hackathons and game jams, as well as host them through using SFVR. SFVR has done a lot of events in regards to game development in the VR space, and as well as helped assist SVVR with some of their larger events. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, hi, I'm Micah, and I'm a journalist and a researcher, and my primary interest is in creating new brain-computer interfaces. So right now I'm organizing a spin-off of SFVR called SFVR 360. It's a micro event, and I'm also helping to organize the next SFVR event. And also I'm organizing Neurotech SF with SFVR. So the idea there is to bring people together in a workshop at a hackerspace and create 3D printed parts to combine a number of sensors related to brain-computer interfaces and effective computing with virtual reality and augmented reality devices, and combine artificial intelligence and other technologies. I think that virtual reality is the next brain-computer interface. When you begin to attach a bunch of EEG sensors, EMG sensors, eye tracking sensors, heart rate sensors, pupil dilation sensors. So that's kind of my interest, is to get to the next brain-computer interface, but also to organize events to get other people involved, to organize events to show what different developers in San Francisco are working on, especially interested in the combinations of different science and technologies, and how they intersect, and how people are combining science and tech in new ways that we haven't seen before. So very much on the front line of that. And then I get to report on this for Silicon Valley Global News with very fine folks like Erin and Angelo here, and more folks. And so we get to go to events like GDC and GTC and VRLA and AWE and all these great events throughout the year. It's the VRXs and the CESs there's journalism, there's research, there's event organizing, there's workshops, and that's kind of like my life. So what are you interested in seeing, Erin, at GDC? What are you hoping to see, or GTC? What are you hoping to see at these two events that are coming up 1 week after the other?
Okay. So GDC, there will be a workshop that Unity is putting on, specifically on machine learning, and they're training robots in VR now. So there was a professor at UC Berkeley, Professor Peter Bell, who had left. I actually met him before through a friend, Nelda Packing. She used to be a designer at Sephora on the Sephora AR app. So I went to a party with him for his 40th birthday. a lot of folks from OpenAI, Stanford, Berkeley. So his new startup, which was featured in the New York Times, was specifically on training robots in VR. Now that Unity is showing actually how to do that, they've had a couple of posts. Actually having an open workshop on that, I think on Thursday of GDC. So it'll be really good, especially coming from more of the AI data science community. And AR, seeing how all of that works in VR. A lot of people, there's also Vasant Mohan, who co-founded Fuse VR. He just had a post on Instagram talking about Unity versus Unreal Engine. Most people that I know at least look at performance really closely, use C++ and Unreal Engine. So now that you're able to do more stuff with AI, but in C# and Unity, I think that's really interesting. I know they've spoken at a bunch of AI conferences before, so that's really cool coming out of GDC. I think Unity has a strong presence. Strong presence there. I think more people, judging from my Twitter feed, are registered to go to more workshops than GDC, and then GTC has a lot more this year on computational biology that I'm looking at, and biophysics. So last year.
But for GDC, what I'm expecting to go ahead and check out or looking forward to is checking out new technology, new tool sets, especially when I'm currently creating a personal project using Unity as well as using HTC Vive and Oculus, and seeing how what I'm actually interested in is checking out their tool assets that they have in regards to film editing, like short clips and such. I want to check out seeing how they can merge what the current industry of films. Pretty much they're trying to adapt it into where it's more easier framework to go ahead and create a good solid editing tool for that, so it's more mainstream. That's what I was told. As well, I just wanted to check out some new AR applications, as well as headsets that's been talked about. So yeah.
What I'm looking forward to at GDC. I'm really looking forward to. So Oculus is going to have a huge presence at this year's GDC. So I'm looking forward to finally trying the Oculus Go, which is the $200 VR headset that does everything that the Gear VR does, but it's all in one. I'm looking forward to getting to try the Santa Cruz again. I tried it at OC4. It was really great, but I hope they'll have a lot more on display and they'll have a lot more software that they can demonstrate. I'm looking forward to trying the all sorts of biofeedback sensors with Oculus. I mean, I think that they're going to have full body position tracking, with depth maps, so you can really bring your whole body into VR with the Oculus Rift in their cameras and their deep learning neural networks. So that's going to be exciting. I don't know if they're going to show off at GDC, but I hope they do, because it's finally going to be time to bring all your fingers and toes into VR, basically. Your whole body. So that's going to be exciting. Really hoping that they show that off at GDC, but if not, maybe they'll show it off at F8. We've seen this technology on the web. So I'm hoping to get to try the new HTC Vive Pro, which is a higher resolution HTC Vive. Some people say it's like 3K across or something like that. There's a new augmented reality VR headset that is 5K. It's just one pair of glasses. The 5K glasses called the VR Hero 5K Plus headset, and so I'm kind of excited to see what that is, because it's a VR headset that's 5K, right? And it's going to incorporate the Leap Motion hand tracking. So you're going to have you've tried the Leap Motion, right? Hey, Erin.
Hey.
Hey.
Is it working now?
Hey, welcome.
Can you hear you clearly now? Your sound was so horrible earlier. So okay.
Oh, goodness. Welcome back. I was just so Angelo was saying that he wanted to see at GDC, he wanted to see filmmaking and movies. Was that right, Angelo?
Yes, more just where the tools are more easier to implement, because I heard that they're gonna try to do it more of on the dashboard versus something that's you build on top of it. So that's more is pretty much built into their system. So it's designed to make applications, instead of sending it to other softwares, you can bring in your assets and animations and then edit everything in Unity. Like for example, if you wanted to do a cutscene, it can be all done in Unity versus something that you have to do it outside.
Sweet. And I was just saying that I'm looking forward to the latest hardware from Oculus, the Santa Cruz, the Oculus Go, and the latest hardware from HTC Vive, the HTC Vive Pro, and the new mobile HTC Vive, which is supposedly only released in China. And then there's a new headset called the VR Hero 5K headset. It's a 5K VR headset that I'm looking forward to trying. And I'm also hoping to try the Neurable EEG and the Muse EEG headsets that fit the Vive. I don't know if they're going to be at GDC or not, but I hope they are, and I hope I get to try them. And so I'm looking forward to trying a whole bunch of new AR/VR hardware. I hope the Luxor is there because it's a VR headset that integrates eye tracking and EEG. And so I'm really interested in the convergence of brain-computer interfaces with virtual reality and augmented reality. And it's one of the things we're building at the Neurotech SF workshops. But, so maybe I'll pass it to you, Erin. So did you finish everything that you were looking forward to seeing at GDC before you got cut off?
Well, the two main things I was talking about was training robots with AI and machine learning in VR. So that was the first thing. So everyone heard that, right?
Yeah.
And then at GTC, so NVIDIA's GPU Tech Conference, so the GPU, the graphics processing unit, anything that runs AR, VR, AI, self-driving cars, all runs on really good hardware. So the conference that last year that Micah and I had gone to on behalf of our publication, I covered a lot more on medical imaging and AR and VR. So how do you apply AI and convolutional neural networks onto medical imaging so that you could get everything from early cancer diagnostics done to other simulations in AR and VR of the brain. This year, I'm looking forward to looking more closely at, outside of med tech and health tech, the category of biotech. So I did go to some workshops last year looking at DNA, molecular visualizations to some extent. But I didn't cover it heavily. So this year, there's a lot more on computational biology, biochemistry, and biophysics this year with AI, less so on the AR, VR front, but I think what they'll have there is interesting. GTC has a lot of other announcements that I think people may be looking at, just because we've got a lot more in your email that people are looking at robotics, healthcare, there's separate press passes for like different briefings for that. But the one thing that I'm also thinking of, although people are still sort of iffy about it, is blockchain. So obviously, for with NVIDIA, whose GPU is going to be faster or better with mining Bitcoin? It's a bit of a toss-up right now. So people aren't necessarily expecting new hardware updates from NVIDIA to release, another sort of GPU for Bitcoin mining. But I mean, I beg to differ just to see what's coming out at GTC. So we'll see.
GTC is one of my favorite events of the year because you get to see all this. Mostly, I think the event is mostly about artificial intelligence or deep learning neural networks being applied to all these different scientific domains. I mean, it's a lot of new technologies in general, but really it's about seeing the science and what people are making amazing progress in scientific research with artificial intelligence. So this is, I love to see self-driving cars. I love to see people experimenting with doing new kinds of, experimenting with network protocols to achieve new things in AR and VR and all sorts of things like we saw last year. It was really great. It was just like, for me, like all the best, exciting, and most interesting parts of of CES in one location. So I'm kind of thrilled to see it for that end. What do you think is what's different about VR in 2018? Do you want to start this time, Angelo?
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like it's lately it's been a very slow adaptation rate. I mean, the only thing I'm actually looking forward to is more of VR bringing down their prices. I'm very excited in seeing more standalones being brought into the market versus something that's where you have to purchase very expensive equipment, because if you bring down the price, you'll get more of the people coming in. That's the reason why AR is such. I'm guessing it has a larger impact is because of the pricing. Because everyone has a lot of phones and they usually replace them every other year, so that technology is going to be available to support that. But with VR, not a lot of people can actually afford, $1,000 to $2,000 computers, just the computer itself versus, and then the headset. Until I see that market, I'm guessing leveled out, that's when I'm assuming VR is gonna reach their optimal exposure. Good.
Okay, sounds good. Erin, do you want to talk about VR in 2018?
Sure. I'll talk more about AR or just generally XR, just because I think the fields are merging more and more every day. So Magically just raised a round of another 400 million from the Saudi Arabian government. I think that's interesting. They announced, their headset with screenshots, and then Shaquille O'Neal, and then the NBA had a whole huge thing there. So I think there's a lot to be said about AR. Apple just announced WWDC, the Worldwide Developer Conference. So their splash page looks entirely 3D. And if you compare it to Google I/O, which I cringe sometimes at the designers at Google, even though I have friends that work there, their view of design, it's much more 3D oriented. Everyone's always speculating, is Apple going to release, something for augmented reality? I think that's TBD, but I think that'll be exciting this year outside of, Google I/O, AWE, GTC, GDC, is to keep sort of a close look at Magic Leap and Apple, just because they are such secretive companies. I think in terms of 2018, funding rounds look good. I think there's a lot of speculation around, is VR down, or is it just something that's sitting on your shelf? That's something that Sam Altman, the head of Y Combinator, had said to just sort of poke fun at, because not as many people are spending as much time in VR, but VR also has not hit critical mass yet for the mainstream audience. And so I think with AR, especially with Apple and people having devices, ARKit, ARCore was a big announcement last year. So it'll be good to see what this year people will come out with, from these different headset manufacturers outside of VR into AR, that I think will sort of open up more of the market for people that want to be a part of immersive emerging technology, as whether they're content creators, whether they're consumers, because I think right now VR has still sort of had the reputation of just being for games only and being sort of a one-time use thing for X number of minutes for how much of your life in VR, being tethered to a PC. So I think going untethered is huge this year with HTC Vive Pro, as was said before. Oculus Go, obviously, even though 6 Degrees of Freedom isn't quite there, but having something untethered, having something at a price point of $200 is much more accessible. So outside of VR, there's also AR, and there's sort of a spectrum, right, around accessibility, more funding for, funding these companies to really scale, and then opening up the market, I think, beyond the traditional folks that have been a part of VR, AR helping sort of open up that market.
Sounds great. Angelo, did you have any response to what Erin just said?
Yeah, I'm actually agreeing with that. It's the fact that I think both AR, mixed reality, and VR, they are supporting each other, and it's good. You can't just choose one side. I think it's good to see that technology is actually helping each other. I mean, eventually it's going to be a merge of the three. So I don't know. I can't wait to see it, and especially with not mixed reality, but Magic Leap. I haven't seen it. I only saw pics of the device. At GDC, I wouldn't mind checking it out if they actually have it out there.
Sounds great, guys. We'll go ahead and end there because we're just about out of time. I want to thank you both for being on this podcast today. And let me turn on my video and just sort of wave. See you later, guys.
Later.
Erin,
Thank you. Have a good day.
Angelo Hizon.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.